You know what makes an institution successful? What makes a university successful? It's the people that work here, and it's the people who volunteer to support that institution. And today we want to celebrate 8 years of Chancellor Paul Cook serving Nipissing University in so many respects, and many of our community members had something to say about Paul Cook's tremendous service over the past 8 years.
Oh, I've known Paul for many, many years, back to the early 80s when he started his career in policing, and we became good friends.
I've known Paul for decades, actually. I first became acquainted with Paul back in the mid to late 70s when there was no women's soccer in North Bay at the time. No girls soccer, no women's soccer. And Paul was part of a group who decided that that was something that needed to be rectified. He bravely took on coaching this women's soccer team, which became known as Cookers Kickers, the feared Cookers Kickers.
When I was elected deputy mayor, he was the deputy police chief for the city, and I left politics for a while, and when I came back he was the chief and I was the mayor, so I've known him for 25 years now, but it was mostly as the chief of police.
I've had the pleasure of working with Paul Cook in his role as Chancellor of Nipissing University for 3 years now. Paul has good perspective on people. He's fair. He's got one hell of a sense of humor.
Oh, the Chancellor. I love that guy. Bit of a storyteller. Paul was a delight to work with. I enjoyed every minute of it. One thing about Paul, he's got deep connections to North Bay, and he seems to know everyone. And so it was lovely to get to know North Bay through his eyes.
Paul was the chancellor while I was the student union president at NUSU. He was a wonderful advocate for students and got to know him through various student events. He always made an effort to show up and be present, and always had an ear for everything we had going on.
We saw the opportunity to engage him in Nipissing University and be he's such a natural community ambassador that he stepped right into the role as Chancellor, and it's just been a great 8 years having him as Chancellor.
In my opinion, I think he's the first chancellor that really focused on students versus just the university as a whole. And he really connected the students, the university to our community, and I think that was pretty special.
Because he has such deep roots and so many connections within the community, it's always amazing at who he is able to reach out to and connect with in order to get things done and move things along. So that's a skill that's really handy to have.
I think one of my favorite memories was getting to walk through the student center with him. Myself and Warren took him on a tour of the building while it was still in construction. That project was huge for the student union, for the students, for the university, as well as the community. I think just being with him and being able to talk about that and kind of envision this future for bringing the university at Nipissing University and the community together, and just going from having that conversation to actually see it come to fruition has been really great.
Chancellor confers degrees upon our students. It's a very important symbolic role, and so Paul has held this symbolic role for 8 years, but more than conferring degrees upon individuals, Paul, for an 8-year period, has been an in-person chancellor, meaning that so much more than attending convocation, not just attending events, board meetings, but Paul, for me, has been there for advice on a number of situations.
I think the impact was that he brought Nipissing to the broader community and the community to Nipissing. When I first arrived, there was a sense that Nipissing was that place up the hill that not very many people went unless they were here at school. But I think Paul did a lot to erase that and brought the community up the hill.
I think his communications and his passion to whatever it is that we are working on, or whatever the issue was at the time, you can just see that he puts 100% of his focus and energy into making whatever that situation was better.
He's been involved in so many things. I mean, I can just off the top of my head for Nipissing University, he's brought in connections to FIRST Robotics. He's been one of the primary drivers behind Military Appreciation Day and raising money, and now has given himself the last 8 months, day after day after day, towards raising money towards the Student Support Fund. Paul gives generously of his time.
I have lots of favorite memories. I think one of the the favorite parts of the year was standing in line with Paul before the convocations and listening to a story or two or a joke or two, and he managed to keep everybody loose.
My favorite memories is that, and possibly probably one of his favorite roles is as a grandparent. And I think in seeing that, you realize that's really what Paul loves doing. And it was always fun when he's off and how he talks so fondly of his family. And I think it just adds a nice element to the person that he is and knowing him.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Paul, thank you for all the work that you've done for Nipissing University, and thanks for all the work that you'll continue to do for us. We'll see you next time. This is Your Nipissing University.